2 years ago when I was a little boy, I nearly fell off the bloody floor, because that was all about monsters going from the monster world where there was no source of energy into the human world, frightening children. The scream was caught in a kind of tube, and they brought it back to the monster world to be the power system of their world. And fear is the biggest, not just controller of humanity and suppressor of humanity, it's the biggest creator of this energetic state that they want. The Matrix talked about feeding off human energy and all the rest of it, turning humans into batteries. And that's what we're looking at in terms of the way the society is created. There are many physical underground areas which have been reported to contain reptilian and non-human entities, and I'm sure that's true within this reality, within visible light, but it's the ones that are just outside that seem to be the cause of this. There are many reptilian entities that seem to be very benevolent too. But the foundation of it all is puppet people. Without this, none of this other garbage could actually happen. That is prime. And the idea is to constantly take us in the wrong direction, make us misunderstand ourselves and reality so we act in the ways that suit them, to be in this bewildered state. The world is crazy, we think it's sane. So, God, I wish I had till midnight. Could keep going. So much, it all connects. So, it seems to be a bewildering world, and totally chaotic. And on the play-out side, it does seem to be like that, yes. But it's not really, if you take a step back. And the key thing that I try to get across all the time are what I call coordinates, key coordinates. Once you have these coordinates, the crazy kind of complex, what's it all about world starts to take on a serious level of clarity. How if you control the world? Pyramid power. The idea, if you look at the way they've structured society, both collectively and individually, whether it's a school or a university or a government or a corporation, they structure them as pyramids. And on a collective level, they have, what's that thing here? I've been told I have to be very careful here or I'll shut the whole thing down. That's really good, isn't it? They make a piece of technology, and right next to the laser pointer is a button that will shut the whole thing down. I never went to university. But, okay. This opens the door and this activates the nuclear weapon, okay? The way they've structured is to hoard the knowledge, this advanced knowledge, both of what we'll be talking about now and what we talked about in the first section, in the highest levels of these pyramid structures that they've created. Every organization virtually today is a pyramid. You've got the few at the top who know what the game's really about, and as you come down from those few, you meet more and more and more people in these different structures, but as you go down, they know less and less and less about what the organization's really about. They're just going in, making their contribution, and going home. They don't know how their contribution locks into this contribution and that contribution, again, all innocent in and of themselves, to create anything but an innocent picture. Only they know that. So what they've done is hoarded the knowledge, not least through the secret society network, and they've sucked as much of that knowledge out of circulation as they can. And their nightmare now is it's started to come back. Too bloody bad. Guys, it's about time. And this guy, Albert Pike, who was a Freemasonic god in America in the 1800s, Sovereign Grand Commander, Mother Supreme, Counselor of the World, and all this stuff. They love their titles, these people. Pathetic. And he wrote this. This was in a book for Freemasons. Fictions are necessary to the people, and the truth becomes deadly to those who are not strong enough to contemplate it in all its brilliance. In fact, what can there be in common between the vile multitude and sublime wisdom? The truth must be kept secret, and the masses need a teaching proportional to their imperfect reason. That's what they do, is hoard the advanced knowledge and give us a fake version of reality. And this is the structure which shows, and I'm probably being bloody optimistic where I put these people, these are the levels of presidents and prime ministers and head of NATO and stuff. This is where, within the bloodline network and the shadow people right at the top, you never see, this is where the real power is, and these people who appear to be in power are actually just vehicles to introduce what is decided there into mainstream society. George Bush is a classic. Oh, hey, there he is, synchronicity. He's the next one. So people said, George Bush is big brother. What? He can't tie his shoelaces. No, he's not big brother. He's just a front man. And if you are in the public eye as a president and prime minister, you are by definition a front man. They don't put their key people there. They put gophers there. They might be in on it, a lot of them, and some of them don't. They're just manipulated, and some of them just want power and will do anything necessary for it. So they'll say, you know, we'll put you in power if you do this. Okay, and so they'll become prime minister or president. And so now it's no different. This guy reads teleprompters better than George Bush did, but apart from that, policy is pretty much the bloody same, hidden by rhetoric. And in every country, including Australia, Britain, everywhere, you have overwhelmingly two parties, usually, that have any chance of forming a government. And so people think, oh, we're going to change to them now, we'll change to them now. But the same force controls both sides, so whoever's in power is a representative of this force in the shadows. As some people say in America, you know, don't vote, it only encourages them. You know, I've not voted for years, it's a waste of time. Do you want this mask on the face or do you want that mask on the face? No, thanks. I'll go home, thanks, have a cup of tea. Do a lot more good than voting for either of them. This guy, David Roskopf, is a former managing director of Kissinger Associates, notorious Illuminati company, and he wrote this book last year called Superclass, in which he talked about a power elite that was making the world, but it was a cover story. It's becoming so blatant now that a few are running the show that this was a book to divert people away. Oh yes, there is an elite, but they're not connected, they're just loosely because they all don't. Oh, shut up. It's fundamentally controlled, man. Go away, take your check, leave me alone. And so this is how they've structured global society, of a series of pyramids within pyramids within pyramids, like Russian dolls, one inside a bigger doll, inside a bigger doll, inside a bigger doll. And so in the end, all these different pyramids of media, banking, politics, education, media, religion, all the rest of it, intelligence agencies, the pharmaceutical industry, all of it, they all are pyramids, and eventually they all answer to the same pyramid peak, which are these Illuminati families. And through this structure, they can put down from that point the same policies of incessant centralization of power and other changes in society, which here, as we experience them, seem to be coming from unconnected groups and institutions and places of society, when if you go to that point, they're all coming from the same point, and that's why it's so coordinated, and that's why now it's happening so quickly, because it's so coordinated. So what you have is one force manipulating in the play-out world of the daily experience, often apparently people in conflict with each other. It's all a game, it's all a mind game. This is the movie I talked about earlier, and this is the secret agenda that manipulates the movie to manipulate human perception in the same way that we've seen here in that image. And these people, in the end, are just puppets of this force. And like I say, I'll just go back on that one, but only quickly. This is to emphasize the point that because of their genetic makeup and energetic makeup, and the way that I now begin to understand they're connected to the schism energy in terms of their perception, this is why they can do these things and have no emotional consequence whatsoever, because they appear to have a very low, at least low, sometimes non-existent level of empathy with the consequences for others of their actions. Another coordinate, methods of manipulation. I think one of the most effective things I've ever come up with in this whole 20 years is this description of problem, reaction, solution, because it is so fundamental to pushing this whole thing on. And it's very simple. This room will